touched on a lot of different attributes of how we've developed our business, and in the brew garage we were looking at those barrels, and here we're looking at the architecture that we've done, the heritage lumber building that we took down and repurposed. I think along many, and I guess the list would be pretty long, but they're taking a lot of passions that we have as individuals. And I believe, my wife and I, that if you have the passion, this is a small family-owned and operated business. If you followed all the advice of what big business kind of protocol would require, it'd be okay. Well, do 4 beer recipes, do them really consistently, really well, do massive volume, and that's what you'll do. This is not something that we're trying to create solely as a financial enterprise to be rich, but it's something that we want to build for a generation, for our kids to be able to take on.
Can I ask you maybe one final question? I mean, was it worth it jumping from being a bond salesman to being a brewer?
Yeah, it's most definitely. I was a bond trader for 12 years. It certainly didn't prepare me for being a husband and a father, or a small business owner in the ways that you might expect. It's a lot more all-encompassing and a lot more rewarding and a lot more exhausting, but definitely worth it. These are things that like small business owners, you give it your all, and you do. At the end of the day, I had the lucky chance that I wasn't actually working on the day when we had that farmers market, and so I was there with my kids, and I was still, obviously, if I'm wearing a Parsons shirt, I am Chris Parsons, a owner with my wife. I was still somewhat working, but I was there with my kids. I was helping out, but I was kind of a customer and looking around, and there's just the vibe, the feeling, the enjoyment that you could see everyone kind of running around frolicking. It wasn't like a hockey dressing room raucous crowd. It was just a community that has come together to appreciate not just our own craftsmanship, Parsons beers and our kitchen, their food, but the other craftsmen that came and brought their wares and their products and their services. That feeling I never got out of trading bonds or in doing anything in the corporate world or anything of the like. So it's definitely a lot more rewarding and satisfying on levels that I hadn't achieved before. So.
There's an old saying, it takes a lot of good beer to make a little bit of good wine. So I think early days was you thought you could make it cheaper and better. It's kind of funny, the first time you do it, you get bitten by a bug, and you can see where the creativity comes in. And it's gone from trying to master making an easy drinking lager from the early days to now I just did a gruit with fresh foraged adjuncts from the county, from a chef that we're pairing dinner with. So that I think it's the ability to be able to be as creative as you want with beer, and also it's a lot quicker to satisfy your curiosity, whereas a winemaker more often than not will have to wait 2 years, 3 years before they can really see how a wine develops and becomes complex. It's a lot more condensed with most beers. I mean, some beers, absolutely, you do age for quite a while. For about 3 months of the year, it gets pretty hectic, where we're so busy with the tourists that come in and that as well. It's kind of frustrating sometimes for locals because you're constantly fighting through crowds and waiting for tables and things like that. But it's kind of these months now that really make it worth it, because you can sit down with the locals that you were talking about making certain beers with during spring, and now we can actually go through it and I can sit there and have a chat with them and actually have a beer with them, which is kind of the whole reason why we do this and why I love doing this and why I actually like working in the brewery and also outside the brewery, because I can have a beer with, we had the chef that we're doing the dinner with in a week come by earlier today, and we were able to have a beer together and talk about what we're going to do for our next one. And those are the things that we love, and the support as well. We have regulars that pop in. I know pretty much like clockwork every Wednesday at 2 o'clock to have a beer ready for this guy. Make sure it's on tap, make sure it's good as well. And yeah, those are the things that kind of keep you going, because when the tourists are on, you don't have that opportunity to talk to people. It's sort of more, what would you like, and get it quickly into a pint glass and get it out. But these are the times that you can actually do that. And the nice thing is, it's with your neighbors, it's with people that you work with, it's with all the people that you haven't seen kind of for 3 months while the tourist season was going. So yeah, it's kind of hard to imagine not doing this now that I'm so into it, because it's a pretty enveloping career choice. It's one of those things that you don't really ever get a day off, but also super rewarding. So I don't really know of anything else that I would actually enjoy doing, to be honest with you. You have to be a special kind of crazy to start a brewery. There's definitely easier ways to make a living, but you got to be pretty passionate about it, because there's a lot of stuff you're doing, especially at the startup level. If you're walking in as a brewer to a preset brewery that's already going, it's a little bit of a different story. But when you do it kind of the way that we're doing it, and the way that a lot of other people are doing it in the county as well, we're a pretty ma and pa operation. And I mean, literally less than 12 months ago, we had angle grinders out and we were building walk-in fridges and plumbing the rest of the place. Our partners were staining tables and doing all the rest. And it's the same sort of thing. As soon as something breaks, you're responsible for it. So you have to kind of be able to do every job, and brewing ends up being about 1% of your life when you're actually starting one up. But in a few years, I'm sure we'll be at the point where maybe I can actually get someone else to do that. But for now, it's all part of it, and I kind of, in a weird way, enjoy it. So